Discord is about to start asking for your government ID. To verify your age, they want to scan your face or tie your real-world identity to every message and voice call you ever sent. If you are not comfortable handing your ID to a chat company, there is a better way. Today we are building a completely private self-host Discord replacement. We will use Matrix to power the server and a free app called Element to actually chat. But there is the best part. We are going to hide the entire server from the public internet using a tool called Tailscale. It creates a private invite-only network for your devices. Because it's not exposed to the public web, your server stays completely hidden. Nobody can even find it unless you explicitly give them access. You don't need to be a Linux expert to do this. I'll show you exactly what every command does, step by step. Let's build it. To run this server, we are going to use a free tool called Docker. If you have never used it, think of Docker as a way to download pre-built software inside neat, isolated boxes. Instead of installing complicated programs directly into your system files, Docker keeps everything safely contained. It does the heavy lifting and prevents you from accidentally breaking your computer. We will use Tailscale to quickly build our private network, and then we'll spend our time editing a few text files to tell those Docker boxes exactly how to behave. For hardware, this is incredibly lightweight. You do not need a powerful machine. The absolute minimum is a 2-core processor, 2 GB of RAM, and 10 GB of free space. An all-spare laptop, a mini PC, or a Raspberry Pi is perfect for this. You can even run it on the computer you're using right now, if you don't mind leaving it on. For software, you just need a machine running Linux with root access. I'm using Linux Mint today, but the commands will work perfectly on Ubuntu, Fedora, or Arch. First, open your terminal and type docker version. If you see a version number, you are ready. If it says command not found, we need to install it. I'm on Linux Mint, so I'll pass the Ubuntu install command and hit enter. Next, paste this user mode command. This simply adds your user to the Docker group, so you don't have to type sudo for every single thing we do later. For this permission to actually take effect, you must log out of your computer and log back in right now. Here is a quick tip before we continue. I highly recommend installing Micro Text Editor using this command. Linux usually defaults to Nano, but Micro is way more intuitive. You just use Ctrl+S to save and Ctrl+Q to quit. Now, before we start building, open your text editor and write this down. You will need to save these passwords in a safe place later. First, type your DB password and invent a strong password with no spaces. This protects your entire database. Next, type your Coturn secret. For this one, just type a random string of letters and numbers. Don't worry about counting, just make it nice and long. If you already have Tailscale installed on this machine, you can skip ahead to the timestamp on the screen. If not, let's build a private network that hides our server. Paste this install script into your terminal and hit enter. Next, paste these 2 commands. This turn Tailscale on and make sure it automatically starts up if your computer ever restarts. It will give you a link, hold Ctrl, click the link and log in. If a survey pops up, select personal use and I don't use a VPN. When it asks you to add a device, at the bottom click skip this introduction to get to the dashboard. Now that you are in the admin console, this next step is critical. Click the 3 dots next to your machine and select disable key expiry. If you skip this, your server will silently disconnect after a few months and your chat app will suddenly stop working. While we are here, copy the IP address that starts with 100 and your domain name that ends with ts.net. Paste both of these in your text editor. Finally, we need to encrypt our traffic so our messages stay secure. Go to the DNS tab, ensure Magic DNS is on, and click Enable HTTPS certificates. Go back to your terminal, type sudo tailscale cert followed by a space, and paste your exact domain name. Hit enter to download your security keys. Now we need to create organized folders to store all of our server data. Copy this mkdir command and paste it into your terminal. This instantly creates our main project folder plus specific subfolders for our chat engine, database, voice calls, and security certificates. Right now, the security keys we are downloaded are just sitting in your main directory. Let's move them into our new Nginx folder and rename them. Paste the second command to do the exact same thing for your private key file. Next, we need to fix the permissions. Right now, these certificates are locked by the root user, which means our server won't be able to read them. Paste these 2 chown commands to give your user account full full ownership over both files. Finally, paste this chmod 600 command. Think of this as putting a digital padlock on your private key. It makes sure absolutely no one else can read it. Never share this key file, or someone could impersonate your server. Now we need to set up Synapse. Think of Synapse as the actual engine that powers your chat server. Before we turn it on, we needed to generate a default settings file. Copy the long docker command from the guide and paste it into your terminal, but don't hit enter yet. Use your arrow keys to move back and delete your tailnet domain. Replace it with the exact domain name you saved earlier and then hit enter. Docker will download the Synapse engine, which is about 200 megabytes. We set report stats to no to keep your server completely private, so it won't send any data to the Matrix developers. And the -rm flag, just tell Docker to automatically delete this temporary container as soon as our setting file is created. Now we need to tell your server exactly how to behave. Open the settings file with this command. You will need sudo because Docker created this file as root. This is the brain of your server. We are going to make 3 changes. First, scroll all the way to the bottom of this file. Paste this block at the very end. The first part disables something called federation. By default, Matrix servers try to talk to each other publicly. We want yours to stay private. This empty brackets line tells your server never connect to any other Matrix server. Your conversation stays inside your network and nowhere else. Next are the voice and video call settings. Replace your tailnet domain in both lines with your actual domain and your Coturn secret with the secret you saved earlier. These lines tell your server how to set up calls. Without them, voice and video won't work. Now scroll back to the top for the second change. We need to switch the database. Find the section that says database with SQLite 3 under it. SQLite is a simple file database. It's fine for testing but not great for a real server. Delete those 4 lines and paste this block instead. This switches you to PostgreSQL, a proper database that handles messages, accounts, and multiple users much better. Replace your DB password with the password you wrote down earlier. This is what protects all your messages and user accounts. Now for the third change, account registration. By default, nobody can create an account. If you want friends to sign up themselves, add these 2 lines at the bottom. This might sound risky, but remember, only people on your Tailscale network can even see this server. The public internet cannot reach it. If you'd rather to create every account yourself manually, just keep those 2 lines. I'll show you how at the end of the video. When you're done, press Ctrl S to save and Ctrl Q to quit. Take a second to make sure you replaced all 3 placeholders correctly. Now we need to set up voice and video calls. This is handled by a tool called Coturn. Create its configuration file with this command. Coturn is what makes it possible for your friends to call each other through the app. Without it, your server can only do text messages. Paste this entire block into the file. It looks like a lot, but you only need to change 3 things. First, find static out secret. Replace your Coturn secret with the secret you saved earlier. This acts like a password for your voice calls. Only people on your network can use it. Next, find realm. Replace your tailnet domain with your domain. This tells Coturn which server it's working for. Finally, find external IP. Replace your Tailscale IP with the IP address that starts with 100 that you saved earlier. This tells Coturn where to send call data. The other settings handle technical details like which ports to use and login levels. You don't need to change those, they are already set correctly. Press Ctrl S to save and Ctrl Q to quit. Your voice and video calls are now ready to go. Now we set up the last piece, Nginx. This is a reverse proxy. Think of it as a secure gateway that sits between your users and the chat server. It handles HTTPS encryption automatically, so all your messages are protected. Create the configuration file with this command. Paste this entire block. It looks technical, but here's what it actually does. The first part, tell Nginx to listen for secure connection on port 443. It uses the HTTP certificates you downloaded from Tailscale earlier. Those are already in the right folder. This file just points to them. This section handles something called the well-known endpoint. When someone opens the Element app and types your domain, this tells their app where to find your server. The last part forwards all traffic to signups and enables something called WebSockets. That's what makes real-time messages appear instantly. You only need to change one thing. Find your Telltale domain in 2 places and replace them them with your actual domain. Press Ctrl S to save and Ctrl Q to quit. Your secure gateway is now configured. Now we create the file that ties everything together. Docker Compose is like a blueprint. It tells Docker exactly what to build and how the pieces connect. Create the file with this command. This will live in your main project folder. Paste this entire block. This defines 4 services: your database, your chat server, your voice server, and Nginx. They'll all run at the same time and talk to each other. Most of this is already configured correctly, but you need to replace 2 things. First, find your DB password under the database section. Replace it with the password you saved earlier. This password must match exactly what you put in the Synapse settings earlier. If they don't match, your database won't connect. Second, find all the places that say your Tailscale IP. You'll see it several times under the port section. Replace each one with your Tailscale IP address. By binding ports to your Tailscale IP only, your server rejects any connection that doesn't come through your private network. The public internet cannot reach these ports. Only people you've invited to your telnet can connect. Press Ctrl S to save and Ctrl Q to quit. Everything is now connected and ready to launch. Everything is configured. Now let's turn it on. First, navigate to your project folder with this command. Now type this command to start all 4 services at once. The -d flags runs them in the background so you can keep using your terminal. Docker will download any images you don't have yet. This might take a few minutes if it's your first time. Once it finishes, you need to wait about 60 seconds. The database needs time to set itself up before it can accept connections. After waiting, run this command to check if everything is running. You want to see 4 services all showing up. If any service says restarting or exited, something went wrong. Check the logs with this command to see what happened. Assuming everything looks good, now you need to create your admin account. This account lets you manage the server. Run this command. The -a at the end is important. It gives this account admin privileges. You'll be asked for a username, then a password. Type carefully. You won't see the password on the screen. Confirm the password when asked. Write this down somewhere safe. You'll use it to log in into Element. If you skip the registration line earlier and want to create accounts manually for friends, run the same command without the -a flag. That creates regular user accounts. Your server is now live. Only one thing left: install the app and connect. Your server is running. Now you need the app to actually use it. Element is the Matrix client. Think of it as the window into your chat server. To install Element on Ubuntu or Linux Mint, you will need to run a few commands. First, it downloads the tools, then adds Element's official repository, and then installs the app. You don't need to memorize this, just copy the full block from the written guide and paste it into your terminal. Once it finishes, open Element from your application menu. You'll see a welcome screen. Click Sign In. Now click Edit next to the home server URL. Select Other Home Server and type your full domain, the one that ends with .es.net. The address will replace the default. Now enter the admin username and password you created in the terminal earlier. Click Sign In and you are in. Next to your profile picture, you will see a prompt asking you to send anonymous analytics data to Element. Just click Deny. Next, at some point, Element will ask you to set up a recovery key. Since your chats are fully encrypted, this key is the only way to recover your messages. Save it securely and click Continue. This is your own private chat server. You can create rooms, start calls, and invite friends. But right now, this only works on this machine. In the next step, I'll show you how to connect from your phone and invite friends to join your private network. To connect from your phone or tablet, install Tailscale and Element from your App Store. Then log into Tailscale with the same account you use on your computer. Open Element, change the home server address to your domain, just like you did on the desktop, and log in with your admin account. One important note: Tailscale must be running on your phone for Element to connect. It's the secure tunnel that links your device to the server. To invite friends, open the Tailscale admin console in your browser, find your server in the list, click the 3 dots and select Share. You can copy the share link and send it to them through any messaging app. If you toggle reusable, the same link works for multiple people. When they open the link, they log in or create a free Tailscale account. Once they do, they are automatically added to your private network. Also, you can send them an email invitation directly from the same menu. They'll get an email with instruction to join. Once they are on your Tailnet, they install Tailscale Tailscale and Element on their device. Tailscale must always be connected for Element to work. Then they change the home server address to your domain. If you enabled open registration, they can create their own account right there. If you disabled registration, create their account manually in the terminal first, just like you did for your admin account. And that's it, your own private, self-hosted chat server that only you and your invited friends can access. Let's recap what you built today. A completely private, self-hosted chat server powered by Matrix and Element. It's hidden from the public internet using Tailscale, so only people you invite can ever reach it. No data mining, no ID verification, no third parties. You can text, share files, and make voice and video calls, all within your own private network. The written guide in the description has all the commands and troubleshooting section. If you had any problems along the way, feel free to leave a comment and I will try to help. And that's all it takes to get your own private chat server up and running. If you want to keep taking back control of your data, check out the other self-hosting tutorials on my channel. Thanks for watching.